Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Sister Show. I am your host, Deborah Mills, coming to you pre-recorded from my domain here on Earth, and I'm here to talk to you about this very important topic, which you can already see from the title. Why do employers not disclose the salary until the interview? And this is a very important question because we all need jobs, at least for those who have the regular 9 to 5, which is like a very big chunk of the world. But I don't even have any notes prepared for this because I don't even think I need anything to prompt me to speak. Why is disclosing the salary not legal? No, not that it's not legal, but why is it not a law? Because why am I wasting my time coming to an interview for you to disclose the salary at the interview? Because for some people, yeah, we prepare for interviews, but in interviews they like to say, oh, just be yourself, but really it's not being myself because you're here to judge me. So it's not a case of me just simply being myself. It's not like I can just be myself because you're going to judge me. If I do the wrong thing, you're going to be like, If it's between, and one person and another person, you will quickly use what could be an awkward situation, awkward moment as a reason to discredit that person because you're like, we don't know where this is coming from. But I digress. There's a lot that goes into an interview. Yes, they say you should be yourself, but you also should prepare for interviews. So obviously there's a preparation in terms of making sure you know how to articulate your answers to the questions, especially if it's been a while since you've been to an interview. And then for people like me, there's the anxiety, the nerves that come with going to an interview. Because yes, they ask you all these questions, which, as a side note, I don't believe really gives them a proper view of who you are. But they ask you all these questions, which some are basic, some are typical, but not all of them you can preempt. Like the worst thing I hate are competitive based questions. Oh my God. They are the worst. Like they are the worst. They are the worst. Competitive based questions, because you can never judge what they are. Even if they tell you, okay, we're going to ask you a question, competitive based questions around our values, around customer service or whatever the job is, you can never preempt what it is. And one thing I really feel is that doesn't really tell you about me as a person. It just tells you how good I am at answering questions or being a storyteller or being under pressure, because that's what that really does. Like, how is me giving you an articulate answer about name a time when you did this and did that? How does that tell you about anything about me? Because anyone can really lie, but in the past I've always made the mistake of being honest, because honesty is always my first instinct. That's my first thing to do, to be honest. And I always feel like that doesn't tell you anything about me. But why am I wasting my time to go through the process of preparing for the typical questions and preparing for the non-typical questions depending on your job, combined with the nerves and the anxiety that come with being prepared to be judged, and then taking the time out of my day to come to your office? For some people, it's a journey. Some people, it's just a stroll. Either way, I'm taking time out of my day for you to come to your office for the interview, for you to tell me that it is way less than what I need. Why is it that so when employers want to be so efficient, when they need to care about their bottom line, like they're so quick to make redundancies. You're constantly hearing about tech jobs being cut, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. These people all need jobs, but the entities that these people, the higher ups, are trying to protect, it's an emotionless entity. It's common business practice to not care about the people on the other hand of these, some of these decisions. And it's just a business decision. We don't need you anymore. Goodbye. We don't need this customer anymore. Goodbye. You don't have enough money for us. Goodbye. And it's not right. I don't believe companies should be void of emotions. Not that they should make emotional decisions, but there should be a balance, because yes, all these jobs are firing now, but they're going to rehire soon. We don't know what the world is going to look like in the future. Yes, there's artificial intelligence, but there could be something else. And they will all of a sudden need all these people to make that a reality. And of course, you can't hire people if you don't need them, but the brutality of it all is just so bloody disrespectful. Like, that's an understatement. It is so disrespectful. But I digress. So yeah, prepare for these questions, the typical questions, the non-typical questions. I take time out my day. I get nervous for you to tell me that for you to after asking me all the questions in the interview, even at the end, they will now be like, well, this job pays $12,000 a year. So I just wanted to know, what are your salary expectations? I can't even like, how do you it needs to be a law for these corporations to actually put the salary in the job description, because there are people out there who will accept the salary. At some point in our lives, different times in our lives, we've all needed a certain salary, a minimum, and we all progress, we all grow, and everyone's at different stages. New people are coming into the workforce. Like, why waste everyone's time? At least now you know for a fact that the people who apply for this role, they want this role despite the salary. And then it's just a case of you weeding out the people who may or may not fit into your culture, whatever it is that you look for in people. But then to invite someone to an interview, waste their time, despite the fact that you expect efficiency and respect. And notice, they expect so much from employees, but they aren't willing to give back. So it's like they expect you to be there on time because that might work against you. They expect you to act in a professional way as if you basically already work there. But then you get to... Let me go on a tangent before I lose my train of thought. But it should be a law. Why am I wasting my time? We've all needed these certain salaries at different points in our lives, but after a while, it doesn't serve us anymore, and we have to move on, which is something I believe these corporations can appreciate. But no, they will invite you for the interview. They won't put the salary at the end of everything. After you've gone through the trials and tribulations of an interview, they're not asking for your salary expectations. I really hate competitive-based interviews. Like, I prefer informal conversations, because in those type of conversations you can be yourself. But when you're asking me competitive-based questions, you're asking me to tell you what you want to hear. You're basing judging to see if I can, act in a way that is acceptable for the company. Because whenever you give all these answers in interviews, they never cross-check it. Yes, they go to your previous employer to ask for a reference. How long did you work there? What role did you do? Blah, blah, blah. But they're never going to be like, so we asked her, name a time when you displayed exceptional service to a customer. She said this. Is this true? Maybe they do, but that's a waste of time. So I don't think I can express this frustration enough. Please say the salary on the job description, so that at least the people who apply for this role actually want this salary in spite of it. Instead of you to invite me to the interview after saying all of this, sometimes you can tell when they know that the salary is a little bit disrespectful, but their interviewers, sometimes they do have control over the salary, sometimes they don't. But they know that the salary isn't good. That's when they start saying, so this pays $12,000. But we've got great health benefits. You get shop discounts. You get what's that called? Virtual GP appointments. You get, team building, like all these benefits that will never compensate for the salary, which is what we're all there for. Like, you don't always see a rich person who has an inheritance working a 9-to-5 if they don't have to, unless they own a company. But to just be a regular worker, it happens, but it's not expected. It's not typical. It's rare. So everyone is there for the money. So why are you wasting our time to come to an interview just for you to tell me that the salary is, after putting me through this whole process of preparing for the interview, getting me stressed, coming to the interview, taking time out of my day, just to tell me that it's low? Like, why are we wasting each other's time? If these companies really value efficiency, then they should have the salary in the job description. All this, I don't think this is a conversation that should be strange, because the bottom line of all these corporations is to make money. whether it's the bonus for the top management or senior management, or whether it's more money for the shareholders, whether it's more money to go on to create a new product, to save money, whatever it is, the goal is money. So I don't understand why it's a taboo to speak about money unless you're begging your manager for a new salary, or when you're talking about how much the cost of living has increased. But so what, we're not allowed to talk about money unless it's going into the company's pockets. I think money and compensation should be spoken about at every journey, from the beginning to the end of every employment journey you have with the company. That is from the interview to the end. When you're doing their job and they like to put in a job description, oh, be prepared to take on ad hoc roles and all these things. Yeah. I think that's a very ambiguous term to allow them to place more on you than it's what is in your description. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that's an ambiguous term that allows for it. So that when you do the job and you're like, okay, can you pay me for this extra work? But it's like, yeah, but we said you should be prepared to take on ad hoc roles. And I'm sure if people have some sort of respect for their role and their jobs and the people they work with, they will do it anyway. But it cannot be that we only talk about money when it is going into the corporation's pocket. It is so disrespectful of them for that to even be a thing. I don't think they even say it, but it's amongst the work culture. It's what people like to say, career suicide. Like, fuck that. How is it career suicide? These companies are making millions, billions, hundreds of millions. We are making beyond a fraction of that. Like 1,000th. We're making 1,000th of what they make. If that is even if it is 1,000th, probably much lower than that. We're making 1,000th of what they make, but we're meant to be like Oliver Twist. Can I please have some more? Can I please have an extra £500 to add it to my salary? Like, what doesn't make sense? Please, it needs to be a law for all companies in the UK, in the Channel Islands. State the salary on the job description. I think you will appreciate it, because it will encourage efficiency, which is something I know you all appreciate, because now you know that those who apply for the role, they want this salary. Of course, they have to be presentable for an interview, blah, 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 blah. But in this interview process, we're all just getting to hear the salary, because even if they tell you all the good things about the company, all the history and whatever, but the salary is less, nobody's doing that. No one's going to do a salary for less than what they are, at least they're already on. Considering that the cost of living constantly increases, inflation is always increases. But when does inflation deflate? I've never seen a time when inflation has deflated. I'm sure inflation has been rising since the 20-40 years ago, when bread was still 5 pence or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, and then you hear in the news, oh, inflation has gone down by 1.5% today, but bread is still £2.50. So inflation goes up, it never comes down, it never deflates. Inflation goes up, companies increase prices of everything: bread, butter, milk, water. They increase prices of everything, but those same companies are now very slow to increase the salaries to match that. Like, the same rate that you're increasing the prices of your products or services is the same rate you should be increasing your employee's salary. If you're increasing prices by 5%, let's have our own go up by 10, because at the end of the day, everybody has their different needs. Like, so is a bit disgusting. It's disrespectful. And I think all these corporations, they believe, yes, they have all the power, they have all the influence, but to be honest, all companies are always going to need employees. So as much as people will not want to leave a particular job because of the chances of progression, because of the culture that they have, because of the location of the job, there's always going to be another job. So I don't think employers and corporations should feel themselves too much, should boost up their ego so much that we have the power. If they don't like to comply, they should leave. We're going to fire them. No. Like, even when it comes to this work from home thing, even though this is a bit off topic, they feel like they're forcing everyone to come back to the office because they feel like we're in control. You're working for the company, even though the job can be done from home. They're forcing people to come to the office because they feel that they have the power, and it's almost like it's an unspoken rule that if you don't comply, all companies are going to band together to make working from home prohibited, and no one in the world, no person who wants to work a 9 to 5 is going to have the option of be working remotely. Like, they feel like they have all the power, but they don't, in all honesty, because if people band together and decide they're all gonna walk out, do you know the chaos that will ensue in the world if all employees were gonna walk out at the same time because you're forcing them to come back to the office? You're not increasing their salaries at the same rate that you're increasing the products of your services. Your benefits aren't enough anymore. People have new needs as time goes on. Paternity leave and maternity leave are probably things of this generation. So I don't understand why a lot of people like to talk about innovation when it comes to fintech. That's the buzzwords these days. But then when it comes to the internal processes and the internal benefits and, things that the evolution of human beings, which expresses itself in different ways, they're very slow because it's coming at the expense of their wallet, really. So please make the salary clear. Let's not waste time. It's an efficient process, rule, law that everyone will appreciate. Increase the salaries of your workers at the same rates that you increase prices on products, because why should that be what you're wasting time? Like I don't know if anyone has actually really thought about it. Inflation has ever been increasing, and then we inflate everything and blame it on something that's happening in other parts of the world. And I know we're all interconnected, so I'm sure it is affected in some way, but they're not taking as much of a hit as they're making it seem to increase prices by 50% or whatever the case is. They just use it as an excuse. But then they will increase prices, and they will not increase the salary of their employees. The employees are employees of all these companies that are buying these same products. So everybody's going broke. Everybody's now sad. Everybody's depressed. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed in this country. But that's just one thing that I just had to get off my chest. Because who are we fooling? Who are we kidding? It cannot be a case that we're only allowed to talk about money when it's going in the pockets of the corporations. Like, it cannot be the case. I don't think it should be any. I don't even think there should be a term coined career suicide. And in cases where people commit career suicide, and someone in a HR position or in a managerial position wants to use that against them, your companies, these same corporations, if you guys are seeing this, you should also change your processes. So when it's time, obviously these performance evaluations, just to see if someone's doing a good job and if they're eligible for a bonus and blah blah blah, rather than have it be arbitrary and just simply be the manager's opinion, I think it should be a case of, let me just get the camera back on so I can look at myself. I think it should be a case of having some sort of, like, that process of determining whether someone's doing a good job or not, overperforming, underperforming, all these things. I think these are the places that artificial intelligence should play a part in. Because if it's arbitrary, then there shouldn't be. So then there wouldn't be need to worry about career suicide, saying this thing or doing that thing and being shunned or cancelled by your colleagues or the manager, or you're thinking this is going to hinder your promotion. This shouldn't be a thing. So I think this is one of the things that artificial intelligence should replace. Performance evaluations. I mean, I have an idea in my head. I'm sure all companies evaluate performance differently. But yeah, I think that this is a discussion that needs to be had. And as usual, I don't believe the discussion on this is over, but I'm willing to hear what other people have to say about this. So comment what you think is missing. What else do we need to talk about? Because when will inflation deflate back to the days or the time when bread will now be 5p? Because however much cheaper it was when our parents got here, it was super cheap. Now it's so expensive that you have to really need the bread to buy it. I mean, you should buy it anyway. You should buy it only if you need it. But it's like, now you really have to think about it. Like, how many times am I going to eat this? Do I eat sandwiches enough that often to have that in the house? Anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest, because if not, it's just going to be lingering. So please Let us know the salaries. Let's not waste time. We're all here for the money. These corporations are also here for the money. We can't just be that we only speak about money when it's going into your pockets. Please let inflation deflate, because when is it ever, if something inflates, it should be able to deflate. If it's inflating, there should be something that pops that balloon. So I don't know what's happening, why it's taking forever, but someone should please do that and increase the salary of your workers at the same rate that you're increasing prices, because it's so disrespectful for you to think that is acceptable. All of you, that you have $1 million salaries is really what it is. You don't care, but I digress. Actually, no, I'm not digressing. That's very on point, but yeah, I don't think I can say anything else. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you need to be reminded of everything I said, just rewind. But anyway, thank you for watching. Just comment, like, and share this video with those people who needs to hear this. Make a short video out of this, so that whoever that sees this can get the right idea. But I'm done on this topic for now. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.